Well, this here is the VW Allspace. It's a car which comes with 7 seats. It's an SUV, and in terms of pricing, it retails for about 35 lakh rupees ex-showroom, of course, and it takes on the likes of the Endeavour and the Fortuner. But which one is the best looking car of the lot? You can let me know in the comment section below. I reckon this one also looks very good, but it looks very sophisticated and doesn't look too aggressive and too macho compared to those cars. But it has that subdued aggression and definitely looks nice and sophisticated, very European on the outside, because of course VW is a European brand. But apart from the looks, what's also nice about it is the interiors as well as the driving bits. So we'll jump inside the car now and show you the cabin. And before starting this video, here's a small message from our sponsors, Budmo.com. After that, we'll talk about the interiors of the all-new VW Allspace. Now, what is Budmo? Well, Budmo, as you might be aware by now, is the online expert in terms of spare parts. If you want a spare part for your vehicle, they have it in their list. They have the most extensive spare parts catalog, right from the most affordable small car to the top of the line luxury car, you name the car, and they have the spare parts for it. And the best point is that they have the spare parts from a host of different component makers and different price segments for the same spare part. So if you want to buy a cheaper part from a different maker or a more expensive part from a different component maker, they have the option for you. And they also promise you 10 days assured return without any hassle. If you don't like the spare part, you can send it back and they'll return all the money to you in the first 10 days. So Budmo.com is the name of the website. You can check them out on your iOS as well as Android devices as well. And they really are the experts when it comes to spare parts. Well, the first thing you'll appreciate about this car, of course, is the sound of the doors shutting. And let me just make you hear that once. There it is. It's a very solid, reassuring thud. But that's not all. When you look at the door bins over here and you see the water bottle holders, and you take the water bottle out, you'll realize that they're lined up with felt, which makes it a very, very sophisticated car. Because when you push this car in corners or when you're going over those rumble strips, the bottles will not do khar like it does in some other cars. So really, when you spend your money, this is something that you'll truly appreciate, that the cabin feels very quiet. And apart from feeling quiet, it's also a very classy place to be in. All the materials are absolutely first rate. The small switches over here, top of the dashboard, top of the door panel, everything has a nice and tactile feel and a very solid Germanic feel about itself. The digital gauges are very cool to look at, and they offer you very good visuals as well, because they really are very sharp. And the touchscreen here also is nice to operate, and the sound quality also is very good. So if you are an audiophile, you'll appreciate this car. What you'll also appreciate, of course, is the 3-zone climate control, 2 over here for the occupants in the front and 1 at the back. This huge panoramic sunroof also makes the cabin feel much brighter than it is. And you also, of course, get your own auto hold function over here. You also get different driving modes to choose from because of the surfaces this car will drive on. It's a 4x4 in that sense. And you'll also get an electronic parking brake. And the seats also are very comfortable in terms of the cushioning, the padding, and utility places are also quite good in this car. You get a hidden utility place over here in the front seat. It can hold about 1.5 kilos, so you can stow away some chocolates and those Diet Coke cans or those long journeys. If you have kids in the back seat, you can keep them away from those kids. And of course, a huge box over here where you can keep your cell phone, wallet, and those Diet Coke cans as well. A couple of beverage holders over here, and the glove box is of a decent shape and size. You also get a CD changer. And of course, you get 2 slots for your SD card, so you can always carry music with you and you don't have to rely on the radio services. Overall, a very classy place to be. Now, some people might say that it doesn't feel very, very stylish and it doesn't have that same kind of, glow about itself, because it doesn't shout in your face. And that's quite right. But this cabin and this car is really made for people who don't want to shout out, that they've arrived in life or they're doing well in life. This is made for people who want to be sophisticated, who want to be urbane and want a little subdued styling, because they don't want to show the world or show off to the world that they're wearing an expensive watch or a very expensive shirt or even expensive shoes. They want the world to know that they've arrived, but they don't want to show it off. So this is a car which is perfect for that kind of people, and I really appreciate the styling that VW has done with the interiors. Overall, I'll give it a very strong score of 10 out of 10 in the front seat. Now let's jump in the back seat and see how good that really is. Well, so I'm in the back seat now of the Allspace. Now my height is a very average 5'10", so if you're about 5'10", 5'11", then you should be quite okay in these seats. Now these seats are pushed all the way back, and if you push them a little in the forward direction, then it's quite okay still, because you get good knee room even then. In terms of the overall practicality way, you get this tray where you can keep your beverage and eat and stuff like that. So that's something very good if you're traveling on a long distance journey. And of course, you don't want to stop at a dhaba. Big cabin, so you can house your own water bottle there. You get your own AC vents at the back, 12-volt charging point, also USB for your charging devices. Now these seats, I've pulled them forward because if you push them all the way back, then the last row of seats doesn't have too much space. So in isolation, this is a good place to be in the second row of seats, and I would give it a good score of 8 out of 10. The only small negative is that the floorboard here has got a huge hump, which means that whoever's sitting in the middle will have to jostle for legroom with his other occupants. But other than that, it's a great place to be, and it's ideal to have two and relax. So here, the other good point, of course, is that you can move the backrest angle up and down as well a little bit. So that also adds to the practicality in the second row of seats. Now let's jump in the last row and see what I mean by saying that room over there is limited. Well, so as you can see, I'm in the last row of the seats of the Allspace, and it's not a very happy place to be in because my knees are almost near my ears. It's only, maybe about 6 or 7 inches away. And if you're about 5'9" or 5'10", if you're about 5'8", also, even if you're about 5'7", you'll not really be happy in these seats. So if you have kids at home who are under 5 feet in their height, then they'll be quite okay in these seats. But anything above that, and they will struggle. Now this seat, the middle row, is in the middle position. It's not been completely pushed back, so whoever's sitting in the middle row also will have compromise to deal with in terms of the knee room. So honestly speaking, it really is a 5+2 seater, not really a full 7-seater. Kids over here who are about 7, 8, 9 years old will be quite okay for short city trips, but other than that, I don't reckon that too many people will enjoy the experience in the back seat. Now what kind of score should I give the last row? Well, I don't think I should give it any score. You can tell me the position I'm in and my facial expressions what score I should give the back seat, the last row rather, of the Allspace. Now let's have a look at the boot, and then we'll drive the car and show you how it is to drive. Well, so the boot of any car should be impressive because, if you want to keep your mother-in-law happy and when she's coming and going. But of course, that's a joke that we've been using for a long time now if you've been following this channel. In terms of the space, with all rows up, it's a decent place to be. A couple of big bags can easily be accommodated, and there's no loading sill, so those big bags can easily be heaved in and taken out. You don't have to use too much of your muscle or your back to lift them up. And of course, with the last row of seats down, or the back completely down, there's a huge area where you can load at least an air conditioner and its entire packaging. It really is that big. It really is a very impressive place, and I reckon that if you want to keep your mother-in-law happy, and if she's coming from the airport and you have to pick her up, then this is a very good car to do that in because the space inside is really very good. A good score of 8 out of 10. Well, so here I am driving the Allspace now. Now remember, this car is available with only one engine option. There's only one option on sale, and that is of course a 2-liter turbocharged petrol motor. You no longer get a diesel, and the turbo motor makes about 190 bhp of power, and of course you get a 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox, and both the engine as well as the gearbox really are exemplary in terms of performance. The power delivery is absolutely brilliant. There's absolutely no lag when you press the accelerator pedal over here and when the engine actually shifts gears. So the gearbox really is very quick responding. And of course, if you want it to be even quicker than it already is, all you need to do is simply use the paddle shifters behind here, and it takes less than milliseconds to actually shift gears. So really, the gearbox on this car is in a league of its own, and this car's handling also is in a league of its own. If you are someone who's planning to buy a car of about 35-40 lakh rupees, you have that kind of budget with you, then definitely this car is ahead of both the main rivals, the Endeavour as well as the Fortuner, because the steering wheel is really crisp. It's as crisp as a bag of chips, and all your inputs that go into it, exactly the car will move that much. It's not a steering wheel which has any kind of lag in it, and it just feels very nice and very communicative and very responsive. The chassis also is very dynamic, even though it's a big car in terms of the length, and it's also a heavy car, not a very light car. Even then, the chassis feels nice and dynamic, and you never feel like there's any kind of body roll happening, and you never feel like this car is making you do this or dance around in the cabin when you push into corners. So in that sense also, it's a very nice package. Visibility all across is excellent. You get excellent visibility from here because the pillar isn't very thick. The side view mirrors are nice and chunky, and of course the mirror in the middle also is quite big, and you get a host of safety kit inside this car, lane departure warning, cruise control, and of course auto hold function, hill descent assist, as well as an electronic parking brake. So really, in terms of safety kit also, it really is one of the best. And really, when you take it out on the highway, this car offers you great stability. It's a very stable car. It offers you great assurance on the highway, and you really want to extend the speeds. If you're doing speeds of 110, 120 on this car, which are illegal on most highways, you will never feel unsafe, and you'll never feel nervous, because this car is so good in terms of its planted feel. It feels very planted. Now the suspension is very slightly on the firmer side. So sometimes when you're driving this car in the city, some of those badly pastured roads and some of those rumble strips and those potholes might just fit in the cabin. Some of them, not all of them, just some of them. But of course, the plus side is that on the highway, this car just feels very stable. What's also good about this car is the fact that you get a 7-speed gearbox, so the flexibility of the engine is greatly enhanced, and this engine is a gem of a unit. It's one of the best cars. It's one of the best engines in the Indian market right now, and it's one of the best jewels in the VW Audi group, because this 2-liter engine also does a duty on a lot of other cars in this entire group. And it's a very quick responding gearbox. It's a quick responding engine. The revs, when they mount, the performance really does improve, and it's a rev happy engine. It goes all the way up to red line of 6,000 rpm, and at that red line also, this engine never feels like it is out of breath or anything. So it really is a very rev happy engine. Feels like a typical Japanese motor, but it's not, of course. It's a European car and a German motor. And overall, I'm very satisfied with the drive experience of the VW Allspace. I reckon that if you are a keen driver, you enjoy driving yourself, you want a car which offers you great safety kit, a refined engine, a peppy engine, a performance-oriented engine, then I reckon that the Allspace from VW is one of the best cars out there. And definitely, if you're in the market for a budget of about 35 odd lakh rupees and want a car which offers you this kind of performance, and you want a driver-oriented car, if you enjoy driving yourself and want a car which really puts a smile on your face, then this is the car to go for. I'll give it a score of 92 out of 100. It's one of the better products out there. Well, so a couple of big negatives on this car, of course, are the fact that the last row seats don't have too much of space, and there's also no diesel option. So those are two big negatives compared to the Fortuner and the Endeavour. But apart from that, if you want a car which is very classy to look at, very classy to sit in, offers you a very, very cozy ride, and the handling also is very good, then this is a great car for you. The 2-liter turbocharged petrol engine is really a hoot to drive, and really has no options or any other rival really, because it really is a fantastic car to drive. And what I'm trying to say is that if you want to buy something different from the usual, you don't want to buy a car which your Sharmas, your Guptas, and even your Singhs have in the neighborhood, then definitely it's a car where you should consider. Yes, you won't get a diesel in it, but apart from that, refinement wise, performance wise, and engineering wise, this is a classy little product. With that, it's bye for now, and thanks for watching.